Welcome back, sports fans. Here we are, another video. Interesting one, this one. So we're going to cover the latest teaser. Now, this is due to come out sometime between now and the end of the year. So it's probably, what's that make it? Next 6-7 weeks. And you can probably bet that it won't be coming out sort of Christmas and that Christmas week. So I really reckon this is out in probably the next 4 weeks, would be my guess. I'd say 4 weeks' time. A couple of bits in this. There's a new Nations Cup and new Club Championship. I'm going to cover the Club Championship mainly. I can see there's a rework in the Nations Cup, but there's nothing massive. And obviously, as part of this, relays are firmly coming into the game, and that is why all development effort has been into the relay, because the relay is fundamental to the new design of the Club Championship and the Nations Cup. So let's just watch the video, and then we're going to go back and analyse some of it. Okay. So let's just go back, and we're going to take each bit as it comes. So new relay. So I'm just going to roll it back ever so slightly. So what can we see from the relay? Is, if I just go back to here. So you can see who you are. Now, I think there's probably going to be an individual element to the relay, just generally in the circle of events, and maybe it's something that we'll see, because obviously you've got to have an arena to be able to practice in, so it has to be in the general circulation. However, this is coming into the Nations Cup, but I would just want to talk about the mechanics of the relay first. So here we go. Now, the passing of the baton, this is exactly the same as what we've seen on the pole vault, where we need to get that. So if you play the pole vault, the last two presses use this exact same mechanism. Now, what we know from the pole vault to date is you need to press it earlier than you think you do. So you need to press it when it's just outside that white line in the middle, because it doesn't register until it gets inside. So it'd be interesting to see where that mechanic stays. It also gives you a clue down in the bottom right hand side, because we can see here this big green missing. Now, what else have we seen in this? So we do that, and this is showing it. So there. Okay. So interestingly enough, and if I just keep on hitting, okay, cool. Because with the mechanics, so with the relay, it's 4 individual players when it's in the club championship. So you don't run it 4 times. Literally, it's 4 individual players that are going to play. The bit I wanted to create here is, if I just go back a tiny bit more. Are we going to do it? No. Okay. Is it this one? There we go. Right. What I want you to just look at is in the top right hand corner, the time. So, interestingly enough, the way that they've shown this video, it looks as though 2 players are playing it, because you're technically running 200 meters. But if you look at the top right, the time, once we get past the second 200, if you look here, the handover, the time has stopped. So it'd be interesting to see how the mechanics work. So when doing this in Club Championship, you could have 4 players doing this, and the time will stop, and then the next person does their leg, and then the time, and then you'll probably get a final time at the end. Now, very interesting on this, because with the relay, 2 players are picked. 2 players are automatically allocated for the relay. Now, it doesn't tell you this on there, but it is something that has been confirmed. So it's a really, really interesting news, because there is going to be a 4x100 and a 4x400. So let's just quickly go through. The mechanics of the relay look pretty simple. Hit the circle. There you go. And then let's just quickly, just go back. There. So we're running, and then you see there we've got the tap and hold. Now it doesn't look like there's a tap. Now if we're doing 4x400, obviously you're going to run a lap of 4x400, and I'm gonna guess it's going to work in the exact same way as the 400, but it's going to have the same look and feel as, say, the 800, where players are going to run through each other. You're not going to have to run round. There's none of this, the mechanics you see on the relays in real life. I'm going to guess you're just going to run through players. Now, okay. So here we go. So this is the new club championships. So you can see here that you've got 2 picks. Hang on one second, actually. Did I misunderstand something? Sorry, when I was saying around the relay, I thought it was 2 players are doing the relay. Okay. What you get is you get 2 allocated. So we can see here, allocation of high jump and pole vault. And then you get to pick 2 disciplines. So what this means is... excuse me. What this means is you can obviously spread the events round. Now, this is going to mean that clubs need to communicate loads more than what they do currently today. And I think the hard bit here is if you're all in one time zone. And the reason why I say that is because, yes, you can have it all organised, but the reality is, especially on the picking of a discipline, where you feature in the different time zones is going to benefit. So if you are in Europe, including UK, Portugal time zone, so GMT, you can technically, currently at the moment, it is a 9 a.m. finish for UK. It's 10 a.m. for like Germany, France, Italy, Spain, etc. And then so on and so forth. So what you're probably going to want to do here is you take your automatics, your picked disciplines is going to be really tactical because you want some people who are going to be playing really late in the event. So people on the west coast of the US will become very valuable members. Why? Because they can look at how the team's doing and then choose the disciplines which is going to make the biggest amount of difference. So actually ideally, you want your strongest players on the west coast of the US. Because they can then, at the end of the day, get home, look at where everything is and go, hang on a minute, we've only got 2 on the 3K steeplechase. Right, I'll put a 3rd in there so we don't lose any points. Or even better, we've ticked 3 spaces for everyone. What I'm going to do is go, right, where are we scoring the lowest amount of points? And I will pick that discipline to go and take care. But it is something where communication is going to be key. Now, it will be interesting to see if clubs use the game chat. The game chat feature probably needs to change based on all of this, and it's something that we'll need to develop. But I think most clubs use Discord in some way, shape or form. Yes, it will be very interesting because, what are people going to want to do? They're probably going to want to do the 100, 200, long jump, triple jump, shot put, javelin. I would maybe the 5k, 10k. They're both very easy events actually. I'm going to think that most will want to play that. Where your club is really going to struggle though is that you don't have the exact same people doing the 3k steeplechase that are doing the marathon. probably they're the main two events. So the reality is if you look at this new club championships, there's a roundabout, if you've got a full team of 25, well, that's going to mean that you've got everyone doing 2 events plus 2 of the relays. Okay? So that gives you 4. So that's like sort of 100 allocated disciplines. And then you need to get 3 performances in 19 disciplines. So if we think it's 19 disciplines, then we're going what? 1, 2, let's just count them: 100, 200, 400. Then we've got the 800 and 1500. That's 5. Then we have the 5k, 10k marathon. That's 8. Then we go into hurdles: 110, 400. That's 10. 3k steeplechase. That's 11. We have 4 throwing. So that's 15, and we have 4 jumping. So there's our 19 disciplines. And we've got to get 19 times 3. Well, that's 57 performances. So if the allocated disciplines on here are 2 and you've got 25, that's 50. So you're always going to have at least 7 short, which are going to have to get picked up by someone in your club. If you take part, which most clubs now, it's sort of a bit of a mandatory. I'm just looking here actually. Yeah, and if you look, let's just have a quick look. I'm just trying to keep up to date with all of the news coming in about this. Yeah. Yeah, so sorry, but so if we have 50 people, 50 of it allocated, we've got 57. The 7 we need to fill. So when you're taking part, you earn points as you go through. So each player playing a discipline gets 5 points. So no matter the performance. So even if you don't, and I think this is better, even your lower level players will contribute 30 points as long as they're active. So, nutshell, because obviously I was waffling a little bit here. When we look at CC, we want a mixture of players across different time zones. You have to have clear communication. So you sort of need your captains making a decision really early in the day as to who's doing what. But you need to back end your heavy players to pick up the slack of whether that's missing events or events where we can go and make things better. You need everyone to be active, because obviously then they get their 30 points. So people not playing an event is really going to hurt. It's going to hurt more than it does today. So active members, six events, mandatory, is going to become widespread through the game. You'll probably see players starting to get kicked on a quite frequent basis because they're not turning up for club championships. And that's just going to be the way that the game goes. And to be fair, it's a bit like that today. You're going to have your relay, which is good. You're going to have the 2 allocated, and you get to pick 2. So I think that, look, in a nutshell, club championships, the way it's set up today isn't great. The way it's going to be set up, much, much better. You've just got to have this system of your decision makers online when it first starts, allocate it out in Discord. People go off and do their events. You've got to make sure people stick to it. You've got to make sure that they do the activity. And you want your big hitters going later in the day because they can pick some disciplines. And you're going to have to figure out a system where you rotate 3K and marathon as disciplines, because it won't be fair if the same players are always picking that up. And if people are allocated 3K and marathon and they don't do it, again, I think we'll start to see clubs kicking people on that. So I think what we're going to see is probably maybe 4 or 5 clubs doing really well and getting their stuff together and being well organised. And then I think we're going to see quite a bit of fluidity of players just moving around clubs because, excuse me, just because obviously the behaviours and stuff, people are going to have to get used to them. And I do see people, getting kicked for not doing it. But yeah, having someone not taking part is going to really hurt you. Someone missing a day is going to really hurt you. Someone missing a discipline will hurt you. And someone not doing what they're supposed to, i.e. you've given them 3k steeplechase and they don't fancy that, so they go off and do the 100 metres, that's not good either. So I think this will take a few weeks to settle down. Now, this event was not just around club championships. Sorry, this video was not just around club championships. So I do just want to keep going. Into the Nations Cup. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Nations Cup. So I'm just going to pause it here. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of the Nations Cup, as I said. But there's a lot more individual games going on here, which are obviously going to contribute points. And I think we can see quite a bit in here. So they're obviously going to... The fact that we've got qualifying brackets, all of that, I think it's all going to contribute points as it comes through. There'll then be the normal nation leaderboard based on results of what people are doing. Very interesting though. You get your green tries in the top right hand corner, and you'll get enough of those to try each event. Now, very much if you're looking winner 1 to 8 place match, opponent 9 to 6 place match. So you know that you probably know who you're going to be facing. I don't know what it does when it hits show more. There's obviously some details in there. But this is, and you can see here, what are they doing? They've got a multitude of different events. Because you can see further down, we've got 100, we've got 200. You've got multiple matches as you're going through. Interestingly enough, though, they've got this 50 gems to play. So this is going to benefit people who spend money, where they can take multiple attempts on the same one without having to buy tokens. And we should probably do a comparison of cost of token to that. So the new mechanics, bigger jewels. So if you look at the jewels that you get today on Nations Cup, do they really mean anything? No. So I think what I'm more interested in on here, what are the prizes for this? Because that's key. But that's the end of the video for today. Put your comments in. What's your thoughts on the new club championship? What's your thoughts on the new Nations Cup? I think the Nations Cup, we've probably got the least amount of information out of everything there. I think the new club championships gives a lot more details, a lot more to see. We can see the mechanics that do sit behind all of this, which is going to be really interesting to see. I think from a tactical point of view, the game sort of steps up a level on tactics needed within a club, where today there isn't that tactics. Those tactics aren't needed as much. You just need activity. And I know some people will say yes, but in club championships, if you know who's got what and you can plan it out, then someone, instead of doing 6 events, they concentrate on 3 and do multiple tries to get the best. That is a tactic, but it's not like this where we're actually picking disciplines. It is what people have been asking for. I think it's really interesting. I'm quite excited by it, but it is going to be communication's key. You've got to make your decisions early in the day, and you've got to have your big hitters that can come in and either mop up on the spaces where you need more, you haven't got enough people competing, because you still need 3 per event. Or they're able to just go in and go, right, I can go and get us more points because we are in, 15th, 16th and 30th. But if you've got someone who can come in and hit first, they want to go into that event because the points difference are massive. If you're already in 1st, 2nd and 4th on an event, why do you need your big hitter to go in and do that event? You don't. So I think this is really interesting. As I said, put your comments in below. Give me your thoughts on this. This is quite a big change into quite a few areas of the game. Really interesting to get your thoughts. But yeah, normal like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Looking for more people that are watching to hit that subscribe button. And I really do, yeah, I would welcome your thoughts on this one, because I do think this is a big, big change in the game. And I do think it's a change for the good. So I'll see you on the next video. And that's me over and out. Bye for now.